Welcome everybody. I'm Warhawk X or Aaron, and this is Chewy89, also known as Anthony. We are an Omega level threat, or at least we try to be. The only podcast with a very serious name, and literally nothing about us is serious. Today we are joined by Fast Nick, the top 8, top 16 Xmen player. Correct me if I'm wrong. Top 16. 16. We're not at 8 yet. But
That's next season.
Yeah.
well, you got to have these goals in place beforehand. You're like, this time I'll hit 16. Next time it's 8. And
Sounds a
but
change.
That's right.
but and it's funny, folks, because what 2 episodes ago we briefly mentioned there was an Xmen player in top 16. And I'm like, I want to talk to that guy, and then magically behind the scenes, Anthony made that happen. So here we are.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, Fast Nick.
So I mean, I thought that would be harder to do. Like, hey, you guys are a new podcast, right? Like, you only have 5 episodes. I don't want to be on your trash podcast.
Nah,
That's my best Fast Nick impression.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Actually, I really like the sound of my own voice. So anytime anyone invites me into a podcast about
So-
anything,
You know what? So do I. I actually re-listened to our podcast. So Anthony's like, we got more views than I thought we would, and I'm like, yeah, that's me like accidentally like loading it up once and then having it stop halfway through and loading it up again.
yeah, nah, definitely what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess go Fast Nick. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Let us get to know you.
So obviously my name is not Fast Nick. It's just generally Nick. But I used to do a lot of athletics, so I like to tell people how fast I am. But I have been gaming a very long time. So I started playing Warhammer, well, really as a kid, but got back into it, in adult years when around 8th edition. So if you're wondering, if anyone out there is Warhammer fans, if you're wondering why my voice sounds familiar, I used to have a podcast called The Dwellers Below. So that's where most people have heard my voice. And then switched into Malifaux and lots of other games, but really my next main game was Malifaux. And I think those skills from Malifaux are really transferable across to Marvel Crisis Protocol.
They do.
All my Malifaux crew from my Red Jokers podcast at the time, they've all jumped into Crisis Protocol and picked it up really quickly because it's really similar, I found. Are you guys familiar with Malifaux at all?
So, yes, I played a demo game of it at Adepticon one year.
Yeah.
I was running the Bushido tournament that
Yep.
year, and I really liked the card system.
Mm.
What I didn't like was I literally killed, I think, all of my opponent's models in the demo, and he still won by capping points while stuff was dead. And I went, "What?"
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so there was a little bit of a culture shock there. I was like, "What the hell is this crap?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For me,
It's-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh yeah, for me, I've never played Malifaux. I heard of it. I saw maybe a couple of battle reports on it, and I was like, okay, game of cards. I mean, the models look great, but I was like, game of cards. I just never got into it. I know a buddy here that played Guild Ball that was his first game, and he got it. Went into Guild Ball from there, and he never went back since. But that was my experience with Malifaux.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because the cards really are its point of difference, but I think really can slow down the game quite a bit. And that's where I think there's 2 things that Crisis Protocol do really well that Malifaux don't. One is they've intentionally mitigated all the gotcha moments that are a big part of Malifaux. Like, if you don't know what your opponent's stuff does, you can just have the game over, by turn 1 or turn 2.
Hey, welcome to War Machine.
Yeah, that's right. And
that's where I came from. So,
and I think that seems to be a big part of the war. Like, I tried to get into War Machine, but the scene in Australia didn't entice me too much. But
the Australians are really nice guys. Like, I ran across a few of them at War Machine weekend, I think, and the Canadians.
Yeah.
The Canadians, god damn, one of their players round 1 just bent me over the table. It was really nice, and then we went to dinner later.
Yeah. And, it must be something to do with the British colonialism. Makes you really polite. All the convicts getting sent away and starting up countries elsewhere. That's why Canada and Australia just tend to be so nice.
Tend to be so nice, yeah. That's a good one.
But But with Malifaux, I think that even though the cards are a really good point of difference, the dice in Crisis Protocol just speed up the whole process so much. Whereas with cards in Malifaux, you flip a card, they flip a card, you choose to cheat, they choose to cheat. You've got to work out the difference. You've got to work out are there triggers, etc., etc. And it just Crisis Protocol has just really taken a similar system but simplified it so much and made it so much more accessible.
So at the time I was playing Bushido and Malifaux had a very similar system. To an extent. In Bushido, the attack pool was your melee skill, and let's say it was 5 dice. You could choose to throw all 5 into offense. If you were the one declaring the attack, you attack first.
Yep.
The opponent chooses the number of dice from their melee skill pool to allocate to defense. If they live, the rolls are reversed and they get to attack you back. You can actually kill somebody on a counterattack in that game.
Yeah, wow.
So on their turn.
Which is kind of it goes, and then you get the nuance of like, how many do I attack with, how many do I defend with, what do I leave?
And then there's additional abilities you can pay for. It was a really nice system. I won't get into why I quit, but it was a really nice system. But there was at the time there was a balance issue with a. I shouldn't say there was a balance issue. I felt like there was a balance issue. The people playing the faction didn't feel like there was a balance issue, but there was a entire faction of monks that just if we're looking at this as a Crisis Protocol stat line, they were Asgardians. They generated energy and had one more melee skill than every other faction, almost across the board, except Samurai, and they were not costed like Samurai. Samurai had armor, they didn't. But that didn't really matter when you had all sorts of stuff like fleet-footed and steadfast, and there was a big sumo wrestler that just took a massive amount of pounding before he went down, and they were Asgard. But in a game where if you can imagine, everyone else's dice pool is on average 3, Samurai are 4. These guys are 4 that can boost up to 6.
Yeah, which is just, it's nuts, right?
Yeah.
It was a little crazy, yeah. And the new edition, I guess I've heard since I stopped playing, I heard they increased everyone's die by 1 and took that faction down a die, so it sort of evened out, which is fine. But no, I've played Malifaux. I really enjoyed the models. I really enjoyed the system. But like you said, if you don't know what your opponent's stuff does, the gotcha moments were almost as bad as War Machine.
And War Machine, as far as I understand, if you one gotcha and the game's over, because as soon as you kill the caster, right?
Yep.
Yeah, as soon as you kill the caster or the warlock, warcaster or warlock, war noun, whatever you want to call it, they're dead.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my quickest games ever. I literally told my opponent at the start of the game, I'm like, don't end within 13 inches of me, and he's like, okay. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. If you end within 13 inches of me, I will kill you.
Yeah.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts. He's like, okay. And he built a fortress of little tiny mechs around him to keep himself safe. And he was within 13. And I hopped over the line of mechs and chopped his head off. And he went, wait, what just happened? I'm like, I told you, if you end within 13, I will literally run up to your caster and do like 36 attacks and you'll die. And so we re-racked. It was like an 11-minute game. We just re-racked and played another one.
That's crazy. Yeah. And me, like, I've never been a fan of those kinds of games, right? So, like, for me, when I started playing miniature gaming, Xmen was the first thing I played, right? Star Wars, it pulled me in really quickly. Tried
Howl
it.
Runner.
Huh? Yeah, no, anyway. So,
Howl Runner.
Yeah. So, like,
Howl Runner, so good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I played it for a little bit. Didn't like it because my biggest problem with the game was that I felt like the game was like uneven on attack and defense sides when it came to Empire and Republic at that time. Or not Republic. I'm sorry, the Rebel Alliance or whatever. And Empire was way better, and it was just dumb, and I didn't like the way it worked. And the fact that you can't interact. Like, for example, I get my turn, I shoot, you defend, and then that's it. There's no, like, okay, I can counter you with this or whatever. And this is before 2.0. I don't know if 2.0 changed it or anything like that, but that was my experience.
2.0 fixed some of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But, like, so when I played that game, I mean, I got burnt out of it really quickly, and the next game that pulled me in was Guild Ball. And I started that in 2017. I fell in love with the game immediately. Like, how strategic it was, the fact that I could interact, I can counterattack, I can spend momentum to do certain things, and that's what I wanted out of a game, right? Like, I didn't want to do something and then, that's it. I can't counter you. You know what I mean? I just don't see if I can't do something to counter you or stop you from doing something. I just don't feel that there's, at least in my opinion, like there's not a lot of skill for that. Yeah.
I shouldn't say you're automatically dead. The caster in question's Chromac 1. He has a 6-inch move, a 7-inch jump, and a 2-inch reach.
Oh, you're talking about War Machine?
Yeah, War Machine. 7-inch move. Sorry, 7-inch move, 6-inch jump, 2-inch reach. I think, or something like that.
Okay.
No, 6-inch move. Sorry, 6-inch move, 5-inch jump to placement effect that at the end of your movement you place within 5, and so you can literally hop over stuff. And then he had a 2-inch reach. That's why he was 13.
Oh,
And so the system in that was you could buy an attack by spending a focus or a fury and get another attack. And his feat, the once per game ability he had, was to refill his fury stats 7. So he has 2 initial attacks, then he could buy 7 more that he could refill and do 7 more. So really he had 16. But mathematically, it was unlikely that your caster, even though you have defensive mechanics, it was very unlikely they were going to live through that.
Yeah, it's just too many attacks, right?
It's too many. Yeah, and then like I said, yeah. So I mean, from there,
but that wasn't even the reason he was good. That was the fun version of him. The reason he was good is he turned into the Hulk. He went from being like a savage barbarian into this hulking like werewolf thing, and werewolf form is the thing that did the jump that killed people. The reason he was actually good is he had a 14-inch bubble of you can't cast spells in his caster form, in his druid form. So most people did the bubble of you can't cast anything, and that's how they controlled the flow of the game with that caster. I liked doing the fun thing where I hop in there and try and kill their caster for funsies. So it wasn't good competitively, but it was fun.
Yeah. So and then from there, I got burnt out of Guild Ball. What, season 4?
I think you said season 4, yeah.
Yeah, season 4 I got burnt out. And luckily Marvel Crisis Protocol came around the corner, and the minute I read the rules, the minute I played the game, well, one, it's Marvel, right? I love Marvel. I own a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet. I'm literally looking at it right in front of me. I own a cabinet.
Yeah, nice.
Right in front of me. So I have comics, everything, man. I love it. And
Sentinel's still broken.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, I know. But anyway, so yeah, so it got me in. And the minute I played the game, it reminded me a lot of Guild Ball. It reminded me a lot of War Machine, even though I didn't play War Machine. But it did it in a way where I just got... it's hard to explain when it comes to Marvel Crisis Protocol. But this is this is the first miniatures game where I've sat there and I played, and I'm like, I can't stop playing it, and I keep enjoying myself every time I play it. There's always something new. There's always... I don't know. It's hard to explain. I don't know if you feel the same way when you play your games, Nick, but you know what I mean? I don't know.
I find... Oh, you go?
No, I was gonna say you're our guest. You can go.
Go for it. You go. You got it, Nick.
So not to, I mean, we've talked about it before, but 3 of the guys from War Machine went on to make Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I think the growing pains of War Machine and the balance issues that they had in the meta, a lot of the meta was chess piece trading, where you knew the math would work out that your piece charging into their piece would kill it, and then they would have to trade another heavy into that, and there was sort of piece trading like chess. It played out a lot more like chess, and I think if you look at the design of Marvel Crisis Protocol, we have a flip mechanic from healthy to injured. We have defensive abilities we can pay for while stuff's going on. War Machine, there was nothing you could do on your opponent's turn. It was very close to Warhammer. It was more or less you do your defensive abilities on your turn and they stay in effect while your opponent's going, and it's sort of up to the dice at that point. You don't have defense rolls. So I think a lot of the stuff that made War Machine really aggressive and really fun, and that sort of get in there and whomp somebody, stayed in Crisis Protocol, but got toned down with how the dice interact and having injured side. We like to call it alpha striking when we played War Machine. You really wanted something that would get in there, alpha strike out whatever piece you were looking to get rid of, and you'd go from there. And it was very... I mean, each faction into each faction, it was pretty straightforward. You knew what you were gunning for. And that's not the case with Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's more based on kind of the objectives. And I'm not saying the objectives were completely negated in War Machine, but usually the thing that's sticking out like a sore thumb that has the objective is the thing you want to alpha, and the math in that game worked out that you were going to kill it. It's not everything died in that game was sort of the problem. So, but I think some of those growing pains have led to the thing that we all enjoy now, which is Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is not nearly as cut and dry on the math being I'm going to 100% kill this thing and there's no way I can't if I boost it this time, like that was all worked out, I don't know, 6 years into the game for War Machine.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the two things that really set it apart is they've very clearly looked at what was negative play experiences in other games. And I think Alpha Strikes particularly, with an experience difference between a really experienced player and a new player, Alpha Strikes are potentially the worst thing that can happen in a game because you've got this, let's say, little Timmy comes to the table, he's just painted up his Hulk, he's just, and he just wants to do stuff with it, you know?
Sorry.
And the fact that in other games you can alpha strike that off the table before he's even moved it is just such a negative play experience for that new player.
Yeah.
Where with not only the flip mechanic, but then every time you take damage you get powered up, at the very least, with priority and all this other stuff that they've put in. The very least, okay, Hulk's a bad example because he doesn't have a flip side, but let's say, Magneto. He gets to flip, you get to use him because you've typically got priority that turn, and then you get to have this massive wombo turn where he gets to do all his abilities and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And even if he dies at that point and you lose the game, at least that big character that you've brought to the table, you get to have a massive turn with before they're gone. And I think that's what keeps people coming back to the game, that you can use these characters and you always get a chance. With the exception of some really niche things like Corvus and that sort of stuff, you don't just get your models taken off. You get to use them before they die.
Absolutely, and that was one of my biggest problems with Guild Ball as well too. Like, I mean, the minute you made one mistake in that game and you lost one model, I mean, it was like, oh my god, I lost an activation, blah blah blah. Like, there's no way for me to come back in this game at all. Granted, there's some weird things that happened. I could win the game, but I mean, it was just, I was like, really? I
You
lost
didn't play a scoring team, did you?
No, I played a scoring team. I played a score.
Which one?
I played Hunters.
Really? They were considered scoring?
Yeah, they're considered 2-2. They're not full scoring. You gotta understand. Like, the Hunters played. Yeah, the Hunters played a 2-2 game. Like, it depends too. Like, if you played Steeljaw, it was more maybe 3-1. What I mean by that, I'm sorry.
I have the Hunters, and I had them when they came out, and I just remember I didn't get to put them on the table, but I put them together, and I'm sitting there going, I just want to take Cena into somebody.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I mean, the Hunters can do both. I mean, they weren't considered whatever, but I mean, yeah, that was the thing. It was like you made a mistake and that was it, and it just got really boring. And I love the fact that MCP, like, I don't lose a model. Like, that's it's amazing. Like, it's just that it's that comeback factor. It's like, oh my god, like, I'm never out of it, right? Like, okay, yes, I moved my character up. I got a little aggressive. And, yeah, you dazed them. Oh, well, guess what? Turn 2, I'm coming back. I'm going to hit you with everything I've got. And I'm going to try to turn this game around right here and put this game back into my favor. You know what I mean? And from there, it's like this pendulum effect, right? I do that. You do that back to me. It goes back and forth. And then from there, you got to make the right plays. You got to do the right things to win the game, right? So.
Well, and the thing is that in essence is essentially what my Xmen roster was based around, was harnessing that mechanic, right? That flip, that powered up turn, and then using that. How can I best maximize that to then get me in a position to win the game? Like, at its really basic, most fundamental level, that's what the whole roster was built around.
Absolutely.
So I have a quick three side things from that. One, last card game I played had a comeback mechanic, and that was the only reason it was super fun. Dragon Ball Super game. Every time you took a damage, you drew a card, which was awesome. So then when they added this in Marvel Crisis Protocol, I'm like, wait a minute, punching me does stuff? Sweet.
Right.
Thing two, the character that everyone for a while there, like, you had to choose if you wanted to punch him or not. Magneto's a good example, but like the scariest thing you could do is, I don't know, daze Thor, and then he's on his backside.
Right.
And then I guess thing 3 before we go on, just real quick, settle something for me, Nick. Xmen Blue or Xmen Gold?
What do you mean? Which one?
Yeah.
I'm going to sit right on the fence, and I reckon that they're equally good at particular jobs.
No, I'm saying which one did you play more with your list, or did you choose based on the mission?
Oh, I chose based on the mission, but gold was at this stage.
Mhm.
Gold was clearly the right answer in probably 8, 9 out of 10 games. But I think, and we'll get into this later in the cast.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
blue is coming back with a vengeance. I
You
think
can't
I think
see it, but I'm glaring at the computer like, damn it, wrong answer.
yeah.
No, that's
I get
we've
it. I
been
get it.
yeah, we've been, I mean, me and Aaron have been talking about it back and forth. I mean, I even created a Cyclops roster a couple of months ago. This was before Hired Muscle was banned and all that stuff, and I had a little jank
Mm.
with Cyclops, Corvus, and like Hired Muscle. Because the whole point
Yeah.
of, because to me, like how to run Cyclops' leadership effectively is, at least in my opinion, is you need a character that can turn a game around, that can turn a game around for you in a round, right? Like for example,
Mm-hmm.
Corvus, if you can get his death blow to 1 power cost, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that's ridiculous, right? You spend 1 power,
Yeah.
and depending on what you did before that, right? You can free up power for the death's blow or whatever it's called that adds blanks to results, and then you could just go nuts. If you can daze maybe 2 or 3 models that turn, and Corvus did what he needed to do, it could be a huge point swing depending on the mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was my whole focus when I made that team. And honestly, it's funny. I haven't. Granted, I didn't play against any top players or anything like that. But every Cyclops roster I played with, I have not lost a game with it yet.
Mm.
The way I played it. But granted, this is before Hired Muscle and all that stuff was banned. I had a little jank with that, and
Yeah,
it
man.
worked pretty well. But no, I mean, I just think X-Men Blue honestly just needs more time. It needs more characters, and just people just need to play it more and just get used to it. Be like, okay, look, I know Cyclops can only do certain things, but how can I use them effectively? Right? How can I do this effectively and win the game?
Well, I
Yeah.
think Cyclops is the second best X-Man. I reckon he's
Fair.
I reckon he's second behind Beast. Beast at the well, hang on,
Domino.
Domino, right?
Yeah.
I'm still. You got to understand. I'm in Australia. I'm in the world where Domino's not out yet.
Oh, I
So
get you. Sure.
I think Domino's probably the top. But let's talk the original 4. I think for me, the list goes best is Beast,
Yep.
second is Cyclops, third, it's pretty close between Wolverine and Storm, but I think Storm's probably the worst X-Man. If she didn't have that leadership, I don't know that she would ever be on the table.
Oh, she would never. She would never hit the table. She would never hit the table. I mean, her attack is not good at all.
It's funny. I was gonna be like, let me predict this order, and then I'm sitting here counting on my finger how many I got right.
Yeah. So yeah.
4 for 4.
Yeah.
Agreed. But anyway, yeah. So talk about so I guess we'll get to the roster here a little bit, but I guess I mean,
well, hold on.
yeah.
We have a little bit of housekeeping to do because we skipped over it entirely. We actually have some cards that got spoiled and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, actually, you know what? Let's do that now. Actually, let's do that. Let's save that.
So before we get into the list, let's talk Moon Knight and real quickly panel to play Blade.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, let's go with the first thing here. Let's talk about. We can talk about Moon Knight's card actually. If you guys want to go ahead and start.
So first things first, I have to apologize. In a previous cast, I thought Khonshu kept him from dying. That was a one-time thing in the comics, and like the core of his mechanic in a video game I played. So my bad. He doesn't actually do that.
Yeah.
Retconning a previous podcast. So
yeah. So I'll get this started. So Moon Knight,
he's crazy.
Oh, he's crazy, and I love that about him. I mean, he's health 5. To me, like I said, I said it last podcast. To me, he's a glass cannon, in a good way. So right now he's health 5, moves medium, size 2, threat 3. Right. Love the 3-point flexibility here. I love that he do something weird where they made him a 4 threat for some reason. I do love that he's a threat 3. That's cool. Average defense across the board, 3s. So 3 physical, 3 psychic, 3 energy. Yeah, and then we get into his bow staff, which is range 2, 4 die. After this attack is resolved, this character gains power equal damage dealt. Again, I really have a pet peeve with the 4 attack die
I knew you would.
I
But
I do.
he's a 3
No,
pow.
but this is my point, right? This is my biggest pet peeve about this. I have not till this day, and I'll continue to say this. I have not seen a consistent four. If it's equal to damage dealt and it's 4 attack dice, I have not seen it consistently build power. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't, and in my experience, it hasn't worked for me. I like the fact that like for example, Shiri has the 4 die Spirit Blast, right? But guess what? That nets you 1 power a turn. It guarantees it.
Okoye.
Okoye, I'm sorry. Did I say Shuri? Okoye. I'm sorry. I apologize, guys. I apologize, everybody. I'm sorry. Okoye. But you get what I'm saying. There are characters with that. If it's 4 die, I prefer that. Let me guarantee 1 power, right?
Well, the thing with Moon Knight though is he gets full rerolls on that range 2/1.
Yes, correct.
So it makes it
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh,
Nick.
sorry. No, go ahead. No, I was gonna have a counterpoint to this, but I'll let you guys finish. Cool.
Yeah, so I think the other thing you're about to say is that his second attack also nets him 1 automatic power.
No, I was gonna say a different thing.
Oh, go for it.
I was gonna point out that he randomly can get an additional. Wait, doesn't he get an additional strength, or is it additional energy?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Because we're still gotta go down the list here. But
yeah.
I'm just talking about from my perspective. Like for example, the lizard's coming out, right? He has a range 3 4 die builder, and it's equal to the damage dealt. Well, in my head, it's like good luck with that, because granted, I understand what the lizard's point is. He's basically a secure monster. You know what I mean? He's tanky, and he's gonna sit on a secure, and good luck. You gotta push him or do whatever.
I literally just made a Facebook post about that today.
Yeah, but my thing is like if you wanted to generate power efficiently with him, like good luck with that 4 die. Is my point. It's like it's on top of that with people that have, physical defense. I think the majority's got to be 3 and 4 physical defense, right? With most of the characters. So
yeah, very rarely are they below 3.
Right, very rarely, and it just drives me nuts. It's like I would prefer that attack to be just guarantee the 1 power, right? And it makes sense because like you have less dice. Okay, let me gain the 1 power and I'll be fine with that. But that's just me. Now, granted, with Moon Knight here, the caveat is he does get to reroll any number of his attack dice, which is awesome. So that I think will supplement my hate for the 4 die builders. You know what I mean? I feel better about that with that rerolls being in there. And what's crazy here is the stagger. You need a crit wild hit to get the stagger on the bow staff. So that's my opinion on the attack. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think 4 dice builders, like I play Storm, right? Like I don't think she's ever done any damage with her 4 dice builder.
Yep. Nope.
In my entire history. And she just never generates any power. Like it's just
that's also where I'm at.
I think they're terrible. I think the 4 dice builders. I agree. I think that as a general rule and design space, there's obviously a reason that AMG haven't gone down this path with everyone. Right. But I'm with you. I think 4 dice builders should just be automatically 1 power.
Automatically. And it just makes sense. At least to me in my head, it makes sense. And it's like
so as devil's advocate, right? Because I've met some of these guys. They're really nice people. They know what they're doing. As a counterpoint, yeah, no, they're terrible people. They don't know what they're doing. Just put it on. No, I'm kidding. As a counterpoint, right? And I agree with you guys. I don't like 4-point builders. I don't like Storm. I've been playing Xmen for 6 weeks. That's my thing. I do. I pick a faction. I play them till I get them down. And nice. Storm has not been efficient. And I agree with everything you're saying. However, just to play devil's advocate, is maybe the reason the 4 die builder there to make you think about how to spend your power as a choice in the game, so it's not just you can do everything.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because we talked about all the stuff that differs this game from other games. And I think part of that is power economy and choice. If you remove the choice and you have so much power that there isn't a choice anymore, then is that maybe where AMG is coming from, that they want you to choose what you have to, economically spend your power on with characters like that? I don't know. Just a thought.
No, that's probably where their head's at, right? Now that you mention that, that's probably where their head's at. That's probably where they're thinking why they did that. I'm just from my play experience, I'm like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give me that extra die, man. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean, so where I can see the issue, we got heavily into this game when Asgard came out and that faction ran amok and had power to do everything on their card every turn, and not being at least me and Anthony, and I think to some extent not being able to do that with other characters feels like, well, man, I didn't do everything on my card, huh? That's weird. And like with Thor and Valkyrie, you never have a problem doing everything you want to do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get you. No, I get it. But yeah, I mean, it's a decent attack, and we'll get to later. Like I said, superpowers. We're gonna get to here in a second. We'll see why this can be good later on, right? So, throwing crescents, range 4, 4 die. This makes sense to me. So after the attack is resolved, this character gains 1 power. It has a rapid fire trigger. You need to hit it on a hit. After the attack's resolved, you can just do another throwing crescents again. Very similar to Domino, I believe. I think you need to get the hit for the trigger. And
yeah, it's the same as everyone's except Agent Widow.
Right.
Agent Widow just has it, but everyone else has to get the hit.
Correct.
yeah.
Not much to talk about here.
Does Punisher have to get the hit as opposed to Widow?
I don't know.
Ooh,
I don't
question.
know actually.
Because I thought Widow and Punisher shared that profile.
You're probably right. I don't look at Punisher very much, but yeah, you're probably right.
I devil's advocate. Only reason I said it. And I haven't looked at Punisher in a while either, and I thought he mirrored Widow. And if I'm wrong, I'm sure I will correct myself in a later podcast and be like, I'm sorry, I need to retcon shit spewed out of my mouth.
No, he just got it. He just has it. So he's just got rapid fires as well.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So
that's really nice. The sneaky thing with Moon Knights is the range 4.
Yeah.
Yes. And to be fair, right, he's got a builder at a range 4, and he doesn't have a reliable builder in melee. He still can plink people and generate energy those first couple turns where you're jockeying for position.
Right.
And I think that might be, again, part of their decision. They don't want him being able to do everything all the time, but if you play him correctly at that range where he's generating that consistent power, when you need him to brawl and get in there, I mean, the bow staff's going to be your last resort, right? Like, he's going to do Avatar of Khonshu before that for sure. So, I mean,
I agree.
I look at his card and I go, bow staff's my last thing I'm doing. There's no reason. I mean, yeah, so what? It's a 4 die.
No,
if you're desperate and you're gambling on that stagger, which you might be in dire straits if that's what you're going for. So
right. I think so too. I think the order to play him is going to be throwing crescents, right? Do that a couple times. You got the power to do Avatar Khonshu, which we should just get into right now. So Avatar Khonshu, psychic attack, which is awesome. Psychic attack.
My man, Khonshu.
Yep. So after the attack is resolved, place the character within one of the target characters. So that gets him in right away, right? So boom, you're in. And what I like about this is that we have a push and there's no trigger for it. So if the target character size 2 or less before damage is dealt, it may be pushed away from this character small. So here's the best part about this. So you can go ahead and do Avatar Khonshu. You push the character, then you get to place yourself. So think about that. Yeah, so now if you need to get closer to a character that's trying to run away and you need to bounce off somebody else, okay, cool. I see Toad's trying to run away. Okay, how far is Mystique from you? Okay, wait a minute. Let's do this. Let's do Avatar Khonshu. I get to push you. Now I get to place. So I'm going to push you in any direction I want to. I'm going to push you closer to Toad. I place him within 1, and from there, Moon Knight should be able to get on Toad, or whatever, or you know what I mean. Like, it can help out with those situations there.
I'm gonna throw in a 2-cent thing while you're in the middle of this.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can Midnight Suns affiliation in the middle of that.
Oh no! We still got Blade to come. Don't spoil that.
Well, no, I don't know. I'm just saying.
No. Don't spoil it. We're getting there. So
I'm pretty sure everyone knows what it does.
No, I know, but we're not there yet.
All right.
So yeah, what do you think, Nick? What do you think about the attack?
Yeah, I really like it. 7 dice Mystic is always amazing because
Mhm.
it
Gross.
turns off a lot of triggers. Range 3, and then with the throwing crescents, you can have this online turn 2, really.
Mhm.
And control's always good. Like what's not to like about this attack? Range 3, 7 dice, Mystic, with a push and a place. Like it's just awesome.
It's awesome. It's bonkers, and I love it. It's
On a 3-threat character.
Yep.
And then once we get to the superpowers a little bit further down, like it can just be bonkers.
It can be bonkers. Exactly. So let's get into the Chosen of Khonshu. 2 power costs. When this character is targeted by psychic attacks, it may use a superpower. Add 2 dice to the character's defense roll against that attack. This character cannot be advanced, pushed, or placed by the effects of this attack.
So,
Awesome.
when I was doing my comic book dive on if he can die or not, because I wanted to know if that was really a power of his, they got his card really right. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I didn't know as much about him as I thought I did. And it's really interesting when you read through kind of about him. There's a quote from Taskmaster that says he refuses to copy Moon Knight's fighting style.
Okay.
The reason for that is he is so crazy, he'd rather take a punch than block it. That's part of his fighting style. He doesn't care.
Right.
Yeah. So the other thing that was in there that was sort of neat was there's a mutant that can look at you and can basically, for lack of a better term, make you confused or do something. It's something to do with line of sight, and like his mutant power relies on looking at somebody and then doing illusions to them or whatever. Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight, is so crazy. Looking at him hurts this mutant.
Yeah.
It actually causes him pain to his optic nerves because he has 3 personalities, and the mutant couldn't figure out if Khonshu was real and actually blessing him, or if Mark Spector is so crazy he believes Khonshu is real and it's causing him pain.
Right.
That's awesome.
So
that is
so
awesome.
this thing, when I read those 2 things, I'm like, okay, AMG nailed this to a T as to what this does, because this dude's out of his mind.
Right. So now let's get into what this character is about, right? The multiple personalities, right? So at the start of this character's activation, roll a die. The result is a crit. This character may make an additional action this turn that must be a move action, which is amazing.
Yep.
Again, the people that like play the runaway towards the end of games. Granted, this is a die roll, right? You need to hit the crit. Who knows what the odds are? But if you get it, I mean, this can definitely help you out. 1 in 8, yeah. So I mean, you gotta. Yeah, I mean, what if it comes up clutch, right? You need to chase. You need to chase somebody down to different action. Yeah, I love that.
12.5% technically.
I'll take it. If the result,
You asked.
right? If the result is a wild or hit, the next attack need this activation adds 2 dice to its attack roll. So right now you're 2 out of 8, right? It's wild and hits. It's right.
Yeah.
Yes, 2 out of 8, so you can get 2 attack dice. So that's where
I think it's 3. It's 3 out of 8.
Is it 3 out of 8? Because there's 2 hits, right?
Well, yeah, there's 2 hits. Yeah,
2 hits in a wild. That's 3 out of 8. Yeah.
So granted, so my complaining about the bow staff earlier, well, it just got this makes it a little bit better because 3 out of 8, you can probably get the 2 extra dice, and now you got a 6 die builder on that bow staff if you get within range. That's pretty cool, right?
Oh, that's Magneto's.
Oh, right. I'm
6
sorry.
dice, reroll all. That's nuts. Like that's
nuts.
We know how. Yeah, Magneto's never. I mean, he gets to do that twice, Magneto, right? But still, one of those attacks can just pump him full of power.
Yep. And the fact that you get it just gets better from here. So if the result is a block or blank, this character gains a power.
Yeah.
What does he get out of failure? Does he get anything?
Nothing.
Okay, so there is one result that results in nothing.
Right, so 1 out of 8 that gets nothing, and what did we say here for the 7 out of 8? You're gonna get something.
Yeah. So the hit, you said hit wild was the thing, right?
Yeah, it's 3 out of 8. Yeah.
So 37.5% of the time you can count on that. Like that's more than 1/3.
That's
it's
more than
better
1/3.
odds. That's better than a 6-sided die at 1/3.
Right.
37% of the time it works every time.
Exactly.
37.5% of the time
it works every time. Yeah, I love that.
Was this an advertisement for Sex Panther?
Yes,
That's right.
absolutely it is. That's so fun. And also to end it off, I mean, simple enough. He has stealth, so you got to be within range 3 of him, and he has wall crawler, so he's not gonna have a problem walking all over the place.
So I just want to touch on this
yeah, go ahead.
stealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So stealth plus his throwing crescents
Yeah,
is
he's out of range of
it's
you.
just nuts, right?
Yep.
Because the big thing with something like Doom Prophecy is you can only play that on a turn that you have priority, because otherwise you're just going to die.
Yep.
But what he can do is he can sit at range 4 of the stuff he wants to kill,
Mm-hmm.
and you can not have priority, and then you know that you're essentially, without taking into account other tech, you're essentially only going to cop one attack before you can start popping off with your throwing crescents, Doom Prophecy, or you've got, wombo combo turn, which potentially can go from 4 dice
Right.
to 6 plus 3 for his physical defense, which means that the first shot that you make can be 9 dice. It's just nuts.
Bonkers. It's nuts. It's bonkers, and I love every minute of it. And that's where I think the term for him is correct. Like the one I came up with, I think he's just a glass cannon. He's just gonna go in. I mean, granted, you're not gonna be concerned about him dying because he's gonna do a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Well, he should, right? So, yeah, really crazy. His injured
Doomed
sign.
Prophecy on to Carnage.
Oh, that's one day. One day. I have plans for Carnage, by the way. I'll
Yeah,
get
I was
to
gonna
that.
say we all have plans
Yeah,
for Carnage.
I haven't. That's for another day though. I don't want to spoil all my. I don't want to get all my tricks out yet. So
Whatever. Anyway,
so that's Moon Knight. I don't
Blade.
know. Yeah, let's get. Want to get the Blade? Yeah, let's get the Blade.
Midnight. Okay, so the thing that we stopped on earlier, so rudely, Anthony stopped me from saying. No, I'm kidding. Midnight Sun's affiliation, I believe, is you may spend 1 power to scoot 1 distance, more or less.
Yes, within range 1. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think that that's good for the people in Midnight affiliation. I think that's good for everyone that's outside the affiliation that you're bringing to your list anyway.
Absolutely.
I think it's good in general. I think
good in
I would
general.
say it's good in general anyway, but the people that we don't know who's in Midnight Suns, but if I had to guess, it's well, obviously it's the 2 in the box, right? Like Blade and Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Daredevil, possibly Punisher, and Ghost Rider. It's Midnight Suns is a very loose term that they kind of stole from the comics. It's part this own thing called Midnight Suns and part Marvel Knights. So you might actually see Iron Fist in there too.
Yeah.
Or Daredevil.
But that's
depending
crazy
on
on Ghost Rider though, because
It
he's on
is.
a massive base.
It's on
and
a
you place him
massive
within
base. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he can drive.
one.
Right. So the other thing is too, because let's get into Blade a little bit here. What we know so far is that
he generates bleeds.
He generates bleeds, right? And doesn't he get a buff from bleed? I'm sorry.
He gets a buff if he starts within X range. I believe X is 2. If somebody that's a bleed 3.
No, so what it is? No. So what it is if a character has bleed, he can reroll any number of attack dice before making a medium advance. That's with his
That's with one of his attacks, but he has an innate power where he heals and gets energy if someone's bleeding near him.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right. That's correct. Yeah. The
Yes,
wording.
it is.
By the way, the wording on this really drove me nuts. Just listen to this. So, bleeding targets benefit Blade in other ways as well. His innate superpower of vampiric immortality rewards the Daywalker for each for each other character, friend or foe, currently suffering the bleed condition in range 2 with 1 power and by removing 1 damage.
Yep.
Look, if you're surrounded by bleeding characters, you just heal and get extra power.
Yeah, that's how I was like, okay, cool. That's bonkers. And that'll be...
Anyone know if there's an area effect in this game that puts out bleed?
Oh, Carnage.
Oh, okay, sure.
No, I think
that makes sense.
No, I think, and I could be wrong here. The other thing is too, like, and immediately when the minute I heard about this affiliation, the fact that you can place within 1 is amazing. That helps out because immediately my mind went off. Okay, who can put out bleed efficiently? Venom, Carnage, because they don't need a condition.
Mm.
So now think about this. Like you start the game off with Venom. One of Venom's big issues is, well, one, he moves small and really doesn't have another way to get in, right? Well, guess what? Midnight Suns is here. Place of power, place within one because he has a really big base. And I haven't done the measuring or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure with one move, we should be within range 3 of a character. I have to do some math and look at it. But, I mean, if he can get an attack off turn 1 and go ahead and put out the bleed, and that sets up Blade to do what Blade does. Like,
I'm reasonably certain Blade has a ranged attack with bleed.
No, he does, and I'm trying to find what it is. I think he has an attack that puts out bleed. It's a range. Like
I think all of
his throwing knives. I think.
Too.
Yeah, I think he has a throwing knives attack. That's a ranged attack. I'm not sure, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Nick? I mean,
He from the penalty play, he sounds really fun, and he sounds very much like you would expect a vampire to feel like on the table. Like just the fact that people around him with bleed power him up is just makes him a character I want to play. He just seems so, and he's going to be nuts with his swords. He's going to have his ranged attacks. He's going to have a crazy spender. I'm really excited for him.
I'm excited.
Do we think he's going to check in at 3 or 4 power?
I think 4. I think he has to be a 4.
I think he has to be a 4 for dice, but I think they probably were trying to scoot him down to a 3 because if you actually look at the comic book character, like power levels, they pretty well tie up to what they're supposed to be. Like a 6 is an Omega level threat in the comics. The 5 is close to that.
Not Hulk. Not Hulk.
Poor Hulk.
Poor Hulk. He's anyway.
I mean, poor Green Goblin.
No, don't even give me. Oh, don't get me started. But yeah, no, pretty cool stuff here. I can't wait to see his card next week. I think it'll be Tuesday of next week. I'm just guessing. I don't know. That we'll see Blade's card, or maybe Tuesday will be the Dormammu talk, and then Wednesday will be the card reveal. I can't wait for this, and I can't wait to play test this a lot. I have ideas with Carnage, Venom, Drax is another one who benefits from bleed as well. It's just I can't wait. I cannot wait.
And then you can plink people with Hawkeye. Yeah, it's cool. It's
Hawkeye
really cool.
too. That's another one. I just thought of Hawkeye. Absolutely. Man, my mind is just running wild right now. But yeah, I mean that's it for this week. I mean there wasn't much. I don't think there was anything else that came out. Really exciting stuff. I'm hoping, I'm knocking on wood somewhere that nothing happens to these releases because right now they're saying August. We're hearing August 13th. We don't know if that's, we're not 100% on that yet because with everything that's been going on with shipping, I'm pretty sure, Nick, you've had some shipping issues. You've talked about that. We've had it too. Yeah. I mean, you guys still don't have Inhumans, right? Is that what you were talking about earlier?
No, we don't have access, not general access to Inhumans. Some places have them, but they're not on the shelves in every store that you go to. Wow. No way.
Oh, it's insane. But yeah. Yeah. Oh, Lockjaw, of course.
Lockjaw's a good one.
All right, so yeah, if you want to get into the roster here, Nick, I created a room, man. The room's called MCP. The password's 123. If you want to just join in there, and then I can share my screen with Aaron here, and he can see what I'm seeing, and you can see Nick's Amazing X-Men.
I was gonna do a prediction, but we're on time here. That's okay.
Nick, he's booting up. He's getting in right here. Go ahead, make a prediction.
I mean, I was gonna boot up it and just jump in, but
well, here, I'm gonna share my screen. You can see my screen, can't you? I'm sharing it right now.
Sure. I was gonna say the 4 base X-Men are probably in there because he was talking about playing them.
Yeah, so it's kind of the way I like to play is I go theme first, and I just take the characters that I like. And the thing for me, I mean, X-Men have always been my favorite comic book characters. So I just wanted to get them on the table and play with them. That's roster 1. Look, roster 1, I'd say is probably really all I wanted to do was get through the first 3 weeks before Cable and because I was expecting Cable and Domino to be out, right?
Sure.
So, and not a lot changes between roster 1 and roster 2. But essentially, it's the 4 core X-Men, which all my plans were built around, with Lockjaw. And then Okoye because she's an amazing 2-pointer. Scarlet Witch because I think X-Men really lack that, or did lack that big heavy hitter.
Yep.
And then I never actually use these two, but Enchantress and Medusa for just being OP 4-pointers if I needed to fill out threats.
Which is interesting that you didn't use them, but
Yeah, so the whole, really what it came down to was in all my games, I got good value out of Beast, good value out of Cyclops, and in a lot of games got good value out of Wolverine.
Right.
But where this roster was born was I just really struggled with Storm. Like all she was
Yeah.
ever doing was providing her leadership, maybe grabbing an extract and running away. And what I would find is that once someone got to her, they would daze her, and then she would have one turn of like 7, 8, 10 power. She'd try and do some stuff because all her superpowers are so expensive, and then she'd get killed. And so I was thinking, oh, how can I maximize that one turn from Storm and really get great value out of her? And what it came down to is she has 2 physical attacks, one of which is free, which has the potential to hit multiple characters, right? So if you look at her Ice Blizzard, it's a beam 3, strength of 4, and hands out, I think, stun.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. But then you look at Doom Prophecy and you're like, hang on, Doom Prophecy turns that into a 7 dice beam. And then if you play all you've got, that's potentially 4 7 dice beams
Yep.
in one turn. Like, and she's going to die anyway. So if she's on a flip side, she's got 10 power.
Right.
Who cares? Like, you
Absolutely.
can potentially daze a whole squad. And then, after, and I was on a plane for work actually, and I was just reading through cards. I'm like, this is it. I've unlocked Storm, and I was really excited about it because it kind of ties in. This is where AMG, whether it's intentional or not, have really hit the nail on the head, because that's sort of what Storm does in the comic books. Is she floats around, zaps a few things, and then she has this massive tempest, and like really fits her character well, where she just goes nuts and then she passes out. And
Yeah. Basically.
the combination of those 2 cards is like, that's exactly what Storm does, and it can make your 3 threat really hit like a 6 threat and just devastate a squad. And if you get enough power, then you can do that on the Hurricane, which turns the Hurricane into an 8 dice attack. And if you want to go really crazy, you can use Eye of the Storm to turn it into a 10 dice attack, again hitting multiple characters with that area too.
Right. Right. And the
And
bonus of handing out stun too. I mean, stun is just brutal.
so
it's just crazy.
the most I've ever gotten out of Storm was, weirdly enough, we were playing the book objective, and instead of using Storm's Ice Beam, I did the Eye of the Storm to the book attack and lined
Yep.
up 3 people.
Which I think, what is that? That takes it to 8. So
Yep. So I did 24 dice.
Yeah, so with the Doom Prophecy combo, you're getting 1 dice less on each attack, but with the ability to, I mean, you can do it with the Montesi formula too.
Right.
So, and that's where I was like, okay, cool, and there's something to this. And then you look at Beast. Beast has 4 physical defense.
Yep.
You look at Wolverine, he's got 4 physical defense.
Even
So
Scott does.
yeah, although he
doesn't have a physical attack. I know.
But then you look at Beast and you're like, okay, his builder then goes from 5 strength to 9 strength,
9.
which
Yep.
is just absolutely crazy, and his spender goes to 10. So then you can easily hit something with 9 dice, and if you don't daze it, then you've got the ability to do his spender. You get his throw online, and then with Wolverine, he always underperforms for me because you get one bad roll with his adamantium slash, particularly on the best at what I do,
Yep.
and suddenly you're in big trouble. But
Yeah.
with Doom Prophecy, you can pay 3 for the best at what I do, and his adamantium slash goes to 9 dice with wilds counting for double and a pierce, and then that powers him right back up with a good roll on that, which is much more likely with 9 dice. And then he's on 10 power, and you can Berserker Barrage someone for 11 dice, then Berserker Barrage. It's like you can just devastate whole squads, and it's like, well, what's not to like about this? Do every 3 out of 4 X-Men get incredible value,
Right.
and then you chuck in a Mystique with, essentially the Widow Bomb,
Mhm. Right.
which I had a game with Mystique that it was Gamma against Brotherhood,
Okay.
and I was way down on points. And Mystique did the Doom Prophecy All You've Got combo, and in one turn she dazed. In that activation, she dazed Magneto, Medusa, Mystique, and Toad.
Oh my goodness.
And that won me the game. That dropped all their hammers. I
Yeah.
then picked them all up. And I got 10 points that round, and it took me from losing that game to then going straight to a win. And the sneaky thing with Mystique is you can't have defensive superpowers or defensive cards.
Yeah.
So it turns off Odin's Blessing, it turns off Magneto adding dice, it turns off Cable adding dice. Like it turns off so much.
Turns off
The
a lot of stuff.
rerolls.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
you're getting these 7 dice attacks just going bang, bang, bang. And essentially, what I found with X-Men is that they didn't have a big hitter, and this combination of Doom Prophecy and All You've Got um, turns any of the 3 threats, the 4 threats, into hitting like Magneto or 6 or 7 threats. And that was where, okay, all my foundational play with X-Men in terms of getting turn 1 priority, trying to get the extract advantage with Beast, etc.,
Mhm.
then you have this ability to switch to attrition for that one turn that you need to just close the game out. And it just worked incredibly well.
Yeah. No, this is insane. I never thought of, and the other thing too is, I mean, you're right. I mean, if you look at the physical defense of most of the X-Men, 4 for Beast, 4 for Wolverine. Granted, 4 for Cyclops, you can't do Doom Prophecy with,
No, I know.
but the point is, but you know, never thought of it that way because to me, like, Doom Prophecy hasn't seen play for me since it came out. Right.
Mm,
Like it's because once it hit restricted, I was like, well, I'm never gonna take this card because
mm.
there's so much I could like med pack, patch up, field dressing, brace for impact. Like to me, like what was more important was like healing and trying to take the damage down a little bit and to save some
I think
characters.
the
You know what I mean?
difference though is you tend to play Doctor Strange and trying to keep him up when he's been focused really hard. Those cards lend themselves to your strategy a lot more.
Well, anybody. I mean, when I played,
Mm.
even when I played like Brotherhood and all that stuff, I would still take those cards to try to
Keep Magneto up.
keep Magneto. Yeah, exactly. Like that's my style of play. Like that's
Well, but
you know what I mean?
both of those squads, you have a centerpiece
Right.
that is a high threat character that is a lot of your value.
Right.
The X-Men don't have that.
No, not
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the thing. The thing with the way that this original roster was winning games
Mhm.
is it gets an extract advantage and it runs away. And then and that's with Storm's leadership, Beast can get to the middle turn 1, etc., right?
Right.
And get back again. And with, to me, my X-Men, you can get really safe. And so if the game's going well, you
Mhm.
don't need to do damage because you're in control with the extracts. But it's when what I found that I struggled with is when the game was going poorly. I either didn't have priority or they tended to daze a character or two. And with that combination of Doom Prophecy, all you've got, you the only way a lot of these guys build power is by taking damage and getting dazed. And so
Yeah.
then it was about, the game's going to allow me to hit them back. How do I maximize that punchback? And
Right.
and people, as far as I was playing in my league games, they didn't expect this massive punchback. It's like
No.
because
Right.
I mean I
Right.
played, you know, almost exclusively X-Men from when they came out until this most recent season, and I didn't see it myself. And so I'm not surprised that other people haven't really seen that combo of like Doom Prophecy into X-Men to make them hit really hard. And
Right.
so quite a few times it took people off guard. They're like, "Oh wow, this is crazy. I didn't expect that much damage." And it's like, yeah, no one does.
No one does exactly, and no one thought of this. I mean, I've never seen a Doom Prophecy along with all you've got. Maybe
Yeah.
it was talked about. Like I mean, maybe it was talked about in like Discord or whatever. Maybe it was like one of those haha things. Like oh yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that. It's pretty cool.
I
But
played it with my when I did my 4 weeks of Asgard. I was running it with Asgard.
were you?
Mm.
Yeah,
I didn't.
And I,
Yeah.
it seemed like overkill because Thor
Mm.
swinging 10 dice is like super overkill.
Well,
He killed everything around him,
but
but
that's the point, right? That's where Nick's getting at. It's like that's that big punch right there that
well,
just turned the game around, right? So
well, the difference being is it's a lot more subtle with X-Men. With Thor, you're expecting to get your face punched in after you
right,
give him the power.
right.
Nobody expects one of the X-Men to just go, I'm going to turn it up to 11 and wipe your team.
Correct.
Haha.
Well, that's exactly right, and same
Mhm.
with, and particularly someone like Storm. Like, I think where Doom Prophecy all you got is amazing is with 3 and potentially any 2 threats that have this ability, because the trade that you're giving is you're not putting it on your massive 6 threader. Like, I would never use Doom Prophecy on Magneto unless there was a very good reason for it. But to put it on a 2 or 3 threat, you're like, okay, cool, I've just used a fifth of my points for the whole game, and yeah, I lose this piece, but it's just won me the game.
Yeah, you're swinging
Correct.
way outside of your points cost, and that's sort of the. And the other thing is, it's not that like your opponent's unaware that it can happen. They're just sleeping to. They're sort of. It's a wake up. Here's a good analogy for you, Anthony. It's a wake up threat in a fighting game.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
like
yeah.
it is a massive dick punch from the floor.
Oh yeah, like it's like what you're like a wake up super or a wake up something. It's like, oh my god, like what just happened?
Like
no,
what just happened to me?
Exactly.
Like,
No,
I got woke.
I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm interested. So face me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Lockjaw would get the power for that.
Mhm.
Turn 1 if you stand him next to someone, and
Mhm.
essentially that was for if someone grabs an extract and runs away when I don't have priority. So Lockjaw can pretty much draw someone in
Mhm.
from the back B, like on a mutant madman, for
Sure.
example. And so what you do, they take the middle extract and run away, and you move Lockjaw up and you suck them in, and then you punch them with everyone. And same with the hammer, right? If I have priority and grab, say, the left hammer, and they then go to the right hammer, you can actually set it up really well. That Lockjaw then sucks them into everyone else in your squad, and potentially turn 1 you have 3 hammers. It's like Deception, but what I found is with Face Me, I was able to use it on multiple people, whereas Deception means that you have to take Mystique.
Exactly.
And it didn't.
Correct.
And I had like Lockjaw's teleport was really useful in particular matchups and that sort of thing. But and if you don't take, you can wait and use it turn 2 or 3 if someone powers up. So not quite as good as Face Me because they get the opportunity to attack you if you can't place them far enough away from being able to attack you. And certainly that lost me my round 5 game because I pulled Angela towards me, and then he just did he almost dazed Lockjaw. I think what's Lockjaw's health? From his so he did 5 damage to him.
Oh wow.
Powered up Angela, and then she was able to climb in gear away. So there's the risk that with Face Me, but overall, it's just essentially Deception.
For my own records, was I right with 6 health on the front side of him? I can't.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
were.
see this.
Yeah, no, you're worried.
Woo!
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. 6 health.
Oh man,
that's funny.
that's just to toot my own horn. That's to this podcast, the Punisher having widows
Good for
and
you, man.
his health.
Good for you, man. Like, Face Me was one of those cards I looked at in the beginning, and I had a little weird thing with it. I was trying it out with Ronin. So I would put the Power Stone on Ronin, put him in 5 threat, and the whole point of it.
Did you play me with that setup?
No, it was somebody else. And it was okay. The whole point of it was to pull someone into Ronin and force them to attack Ronin, and so how it was is I would set up Venom behind Ronin, and I would do a Face Me, and if you attack Ronin,
Lethal Protector?
Yeah, I would Lethal Protector with Venom. He'll become a target attack, and then now Venom gets to get a counter attack and all this other kind of weird stuff. And I was like, oh, okay.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, it seems good in theory, but it's a little convoluted and high point.
Yeah, it takes a bit
high
of
energy cost.
Yeah, it takes a bit of a setup. And I was like, oh, okay. I tried it once, and I was like, all right, I'm probably not gonna go back to this again. But now I'm glad.
I reckon you should try it some more. That sounds real good.
Yeah, I probably should.
It's cute.
It's cute. Yeah, I'll revisit it at some point. But the fact that you have it here, that brings a smile on my face because that's a card I mean, you're the first person I gotta say that's run this card that I've seen in lists, and I mean that's awesome. That means you're really going into the what I see here is like you're really going into cards and really looking at what you want to do and come up with your strategy, right? Like you're not trying to be, how should I say, is groupthink the right? I mean, maybe not groupthink, but you're not trying. Yeah, you're not trying to go with the grain, right? Yeah, you're trying to go with what you want to do, how you want to play the game, and how you can best maximize your roster. I guess is where
I've literally been
It's-
the last couple factions I've been playing through. I've been using their cards as opposed to dipping into the unaffiliated pool, and
Yep.
I feel like maybe I should find my. I still haven't found my crap, so I gotta find my cards and go back through them.
Yeah.
I moved.
I mean, I can't take credit for all the credit for Face Me. A mate of mine, Theo, started the season running Xmen, and he's like, "Oh, you've got to have a look at this card." So that was really his idea as a replacement for, but really, really just functions like deception that anyone can take. So he was the one who turned me onto it. But really, really good stuff. But you're right. Like the way I've always played these games is like I don't want to counter what you're doing because that's a bit of a gamble. Because you might not face the thing that you're trying to counter. So I always look at it like, how am I going to maximize the characters that I want to use? It is essentially the other theme is like, how do I get the most out of these people? And that's where Doom Prophecy and all you've got came in. And then it's like, well, what's my game plan with my extracts and secures to get me ahead on points and then allow me to control the game in that way?
Right.
And so the other combo really the last combo in here is struggle for the cube and exceptional healing. So what I do with that is um, if if that's the most reasonable extract for me, Wolverine with uh, first class and to me my X-Men can pick up 2 cubes and be safe, be back towards the deployment zone. I mean, it costs you it costs you 2 cards, but he grabs 2 cubes and he's back in the deployment zone. And then every time he takes the damage, he gets 2 power, and then he activates and he heals that damage right back. So he can hold those cubes for the whole game. And then from turn 2, he's got 3 power. If you go after him and get an attack and spike, it just exceptional healing, bang, 1 damage, and then heals it again with his healing factor. So,
Nice.
and cubes is kind of a two-edged sword, is it gives opponent power, but most other characters take the damage from it.
Yeah.
And so he can hold 2, and you give 1 to someone else, and then you're getting all the benefit without the detriment on Wolverine.
Go. Oh, that's awesome.
You've given me a disgusting idea.
That's good.
I started playing X-Force, so I'm like, that's my faction I'm on right now.
Good.
Yeah, and I think it'd be great in X-Force. Really, really good in X-Force.
Well, yeah, 3 of them have healing factor.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you look at my next roster, if I
absolutely.
close this one,
Go for it.
So this was the mid-season break, and obviously I was hanging out for Cable and Domino.
Right.
If you have a look at this one, what we see is that I've brought in Cable and Domino and Deadpool, and I've dropped Enchantress, Medusa, and Mystique. And Deadpool is the other one. So then you grab 2 with Wolverine and grab 1 with Deadpool. Both of them healing the damage. So you've got 2 great cube carriers. All the same shenanigans with Lockjaw, with Face Me, etc. And then Domino and Deadpool. Again, 2 more characters with rapid fire guns potentially, that they add their physical defense to. So you've got Domino with 7 dice rapid fire, Deadpool with 7 dice bang, 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 bang.
So I have a real quick thing. I actually liked your use of Mystique, and dropping her surprises me a little bit here.
Yeah, well, you'll see when I get to the finals roster. She goes back in.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mystique, yeah. Not that it really cost me in the rest of the Swiss because I still got through to the cut. But yeah, you're right. Dropping Mystique was a bit of a mistake. I should have chucked in. Should have. Well,
I liked your rationale for using her. I loved the way you were like, I can take away their defensive abilities because they don't get it against her. And I'm sitting here going, yep, that's the most efficient use of Mystique I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And with the matchups and that I had later in the Swiss, it didn't matter. It would have won me, honestly. Probably would have won me the game against Josh, which was the one I lost in the Swiss, having Mystique over Lockjaw. I think Mystique with Deception. The way if the setup was the same and Mystique was just Lockjaw instead, I think I would have won that game relatively comfortably. But a whole heap of other things have
So
to
I
happen.
guess, well, no, that's fine. I'm looking at this, right? Well, let's just for the sake of the people who aren't watching the YouTube version of this, his roster is top to bottom. We have the 4 original X-Men: Cyclops, Beast, Wolverine, Storm. Then he's added the X-Force here, Cable, Deadpool, and Domino only. No Sabretooth. And then the 2 to round out the list is Scarlet Witch and who's a good boy, Lockjaw. And then, or sorry, for mutants or whatever. And then Okoye. Sorry, there's 3 that round out the list. And so, I mean, I can see why Okoye is there. I'm kind of looking at this like, how do you decide who your support is, or your support character is going to be between Lockjaw and Okoye on certain point levels? Because you've got a lot of 3 and 4 threats that do work here. Can you walk us through how you thought? Well, of the games you did win, what was your thought process on bringing character X over character Y, or like?
Yeah, so with Lockjaw, I mean, quite a lot of things, but essentially, am I going to need to use Face Me on turn 1? Yep, then Lockjaw goes in.
Okay.
Do I want to go quite wide, or do I need 2 points to make the points level work? Then Okoye goes in.
Okay.
And then the difference between Cable and Scarlet Witch, I actually didn't use, once I put Cable in, I actually didn't get the opportunity to use Scarlet Witch until the finals. But yeah, Cable with his extra range and his support just played into the game plan a little bit better in my matchups. I think Scarlet Witch would have been handy if I was really worried about if I really needed someone to do damage. So Cable was like if I needed some damage but also some support. If I'd needed pure damage, then it would have been Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
Particularly with no more mutants to turn off lots of superpowers as well.
Yeah, and so like I'm in the process of building kind of I'm trying to not just throw stuff on the table and try out a faction, which is what I was doing with X-Men Blue. With X-Force, I'm actually not try-harding, but I'm probably going to give my local scene a run for their money because I'm actually going to think about it. One of the things I wanted to do was actually insert Crystal into my X-Force roster so that they can't shake off Incinerate from Cable.
It's spicy. Yeah, it's really good.
So that was a thought I had, but I that's a different
and
thing.
Crystal's just good anyway.
She's good in general.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah. So yeah, I was actually going to include the family dog and the princess in there.
No, that's nice. I like it. I think it's got legs, definitely.
Absolutely.
The other change that this roster has is I put in Blind Obsession. And I
Yeah.
dropped.
Yes, and that was one of the things he said last podcast that had me go, I actually wanted to run it with Cable in my X-Force thing that I'm doing right now because I wanted to boost up his dice to 7 on the target I want to kill.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reason, is because Doom Prophecy works on 4 out of 6 X-Men. But what about on the games when I don't take more than half the squad? Because the thing that you don't want with Doom Prophecy is it has to be this character. If it doesn't have this, if it doesn't work on this character, then it's a dead card. So you want to have multiple people in your squad able to use it. And so I just looked at, when I built the squad, who's the majority? Is it energy attackers or is it physical attackers? And if it was energy mystic attackers, then Blind Obsession goes in instead of Doom Prophecy. And the thing with Cable is he's range 5, so you can Blind
and he's
Obsession him.
super safe. He's super safe when he needs to be.
And he can double shoot, jump away. Like it's really good on him. And you can use it defensively. Like in a Black Order matchup, you can put, let's say Wolverine, if he's standing next to Corvus, you play Blind Obsession into Corvus. He's got 6 defense dice, can be boosted with Cable to 8. Like there's so many little niche uses that you can get out of it. It's a really good card in particular circumstances.
Definitely. I do notice This is I. So no, you have sword.
Yes.
I have such a disdain for sword. But I guess what's the thought process with sword here?
So I can go 5 wide at 14, and
Nice.
if I had a team that couldn't go 5 wide at 14, then I would use sword. But I only played it once, and that was in the finals, and I had a
Yeah.
different game plan for that. So I don't love it. I don't hate it. It just kind of it was useful to have.
It's useful, right? Exactly. Okay, that's what. Okay. Yeah. No, awesome.
But it's not my go-to. It's not my
Okay.
go-to.
Okay.
So if we have a
So
look
Let's have a
at
look
the
at the other one.
finals roster, so this is sort of
real
getting
quick before we touch on that, the
Hmm.
one thing I wanted to try with stuff coming out was Cable Crystal Blade under Midnight Suns, where he could body slide for one and Midnight Suns affiliation.
yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. You probably find it's too much. You
It's
probably find
probably
it's not
too much,
necessary.
but I still want to do it just to say I did.
Yeah. Well, you
Achievement
could actually
unlocked.
body slide forward, double shoot Midnight Sun's back.
There you
I
go.
know.
Yep.
I'm well aware. That's why
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I can't wait.
Not like anyone's gonna outrange Cable anyway, but I like that is that extra mobility because I find like he's more of a centerpiece that stands there. Is that extra mobility something that opens up gameplay where he can be a little bit more less of a centerpiece? I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just a thought.
So this is actually not my finals roster.
Okay.
This is my upcoming potential season 6, which is we can get to
Ooh.
that in a sec. So
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
there's a couple little changes here that I've
Right.
made, which make it. I
When is
think it's
season
pretty.
6 starting?
Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just like list building. Um,
Okay.
so this is the final roster. So as you can see, Mystique went back in for Lockjaw,
This is not even my final form.
and Deception went in for Face Me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you end up liking that change? Because you were talking about Face Me being a little bit better than Deception because it didn't require Mystique. Did you actually regret that change?
Yeah, I got burnt a couple times on the attacks, so
Okay.
I figured, and I realized the value of turning off defensive triggers with Doom
What?
Prophecy. All you've got.
So what? Can somebody read the card in question so that our audience kind of has.
Deception. I got you. Okay, Mystique may play this card. Choose an enemy character within 4 of this character. If there are no other non-dazed enemy characters within 2 of the chosen character, you may advance the chosen character its speed towards this character, which is Mystique.
Okay, right. And then for context, what was the text on Face Me? Does
Face
anyone know?
Me is a character within range 3 or 4. I don't remember.
It's range 4, so it's the same range, but it doesn't have the caveat of not being in
Right,
range of
correct.
a friendly.
Correct.
So
Okay.
that's the other thing that's good about it.
There's
Okay.
no, yeah, correct. So there's really like with Face Me, there's really no counterplay for it, right? So like you have to take the Face Me. Deception is okay. If I know you have Deception, I'm always gonna have characters within 2. And be like, okay, you
Yeah.
can't do it, you can't do it, you can't. So, but again, Face Me, they can attack you and possibly daze you. Deception's like,
Yeah.
okay, So
So I just for the people who are
and no
purely
power cost, by the way.
podcast.
And no power cost. True.
For
Okay, yeah.
Deception, that's right.
Well, just for the people purely podcast, then they have some context. But yeah, let's get into your final form here. Sorry.
So this is the finals roster.
Yep.
I'm getting a little bit of lag. Do you want to
Yeah, you want me to?
maybe chuck it on and open the roster? It's just sitting here.
Yeah, I got you. I can do it here. There we go.
There we go. So we've got Mystique, Domino, Cyclops, Cable, Beast, Wolverine, Toad, Storm, Shuri, and Scarlet Witch. So
Okay.
you'll see that Okoye got dropped,
So did
Lockjaw got dropped.
got dropped.
So did Deadpool.
That's cool too. Yeah.
One thing that I noticed that you did that I was actually doing consistently with my X-Men was I was bringing Toad as an objective runner.
Yeah, so what Toad allows is you can set up in such a way that Beast can storm, teleport, get to the middle and get back with a hammer, for example, and then you could put Toad on the other side, and he has a similar range because of his range to interact. So you didn't have to go all in on one side. You could potentially not have priority and still have someone that can get the central hammer and get back. Toad's a great objective runner, and if that's your X-Men plan, put him in. He's really good for that.
Yeah, the difference between your plan and my plan was I was playing blue, so I didn't have the hops, and I should really
Yeah.
try gold, which, I mean, if I'm being honest, I know gold's better, but I was just trying to make blue work because I'm stubborn.
Yeah, and I mean, we can get into that in a sec. I think blue,
we will.
like we were saying at the start of the cast, has got real legs. But I look at gold now for if I want to get extract advantage, I go gold. If I need to go more attrition, then I go blue.
There you go.
But really, and the other difference was here. It's also got spiders, so I dropped cubes for spiders.
Okay.
Because what I found is in the cut there was a lot of really attrition focused teams, and I didn't want to give myself extra damage. Even on Wolverine, I wanted to make sure that I could stay safe. And
Did that end up burning you in any way, shape, or form, or did it actually improve your roster in a meaningful way? I guess.
It improved it. I felt.
Okay.
Although exceptional healing could have been handy into Black Order, but the way that I played that game, it wouldn't have been useful anyway.
Okay.
And then R&D is in the list because if you play hammers on an E-shaped map, turn 1, Cable can get to the back E and have 2 hammers on him, it's just nuts. That just is such a power play. It changes the scope of the game so much. Because you can jump forward, first class, grab a hammer for free, move back towards the E, and then have, to me, my X-Men to move onto the E, and with R&D to get an extra power from someone, he has 2 hammers.
There you go.
Yeah. And
he's considered an X-Men?
Yeah,
absolutely.
For that Cable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cable's an X-Men? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was X-Force only. So.
No.
He's
yeah.
And so essentially this was just more refining, tying into the same game plan. Get the extract advantage when you can, with a little bit more added in to allow me to get a little bit more attrition. And also Warpath was in for that matchup against Wakanda where they hit you and knock you off. You can just step back onto the center point.
At any point did Sabretooth cross your mind as being like a counterplay to Wakanda?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And potentially replacing Wolverine, but I'm too much of a fluffy player. I like Wolverine.
Okay, no, I was playing X-Force and I had both of them, and there was a little bit of Shuri knocking some stuff around and Doctor Strange pushing, and it was just between Warpath and Sabretooth being Sabretooth, I ended up gaining ground walking up to Doctor Strange, and my opponent went, wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there.
I think an X-Force squad of Cable, Wolverine, Sabretooth, and Deadpool has some real potential. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I've been leaning more towards, honestly, maybe it's just playstyle. But I lean more towards Sabretooth over Wolf. I don't know.
I think the long move makes a big difference.
Yeah.
That reposition, that attack in someone else's turn. So if you think about this, here's a little bit of X-Force tech for you.
Yeah.
So if you go pretty sneaky sis with Doom Prophecy, so Sabretooth can only be attacked within range 2 for that turn. And then on every turn, he gets to attack back with 8 or 9 dice, re-rolling 1 because it's on their turn. So it's pretty crazy. You can get a hit from someone, potentially Sabretooth punches them back, dazes them, builds power. And so you can activate him whenever he needs to then go and assassinate a target. I don't know if it's good, but it's something that I can.
Oh no, that sounds fun to me because I've been every time I play X-Force, I do like that card a lot. Pretty sneaky sis. It saved my butt in like 2 games where it was like a turn 3. Yeah, it was like a turn 3 or turn 4, and I couldn't be attacked. You know what I mean? I held objectives and they had to make a move on me and do something. I was like, yeah, come at me.
Every time I look at that card, I want to use it with Domino, but that's
me. I want to use it with like characters like Sabretooth, Wolverine, of course, because I want them to get within range 2 of me, right? If I can take away the range attackers from hitting me from afar and have them come in at me, it makes my life easier. I'd be awesome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've only played 2 games, and Domino's been one of my objective takers, so they target her pretty hard. So to turn off the range attacks, picking her down,
it's great. Yeah, it's really good.
So I mean, there was a little bit of both.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nick. You're good.
So really, the next evolution of this roster, with what I'm thinking right now,
Mhm.
is if I bring up this one,
Yeah.
I think this is where Cyclops leadership really comes in, and X-Men can now
Mm.
really go into attrition,
Right.
and it's all because of Jean Grey. So if you think about a 5-wide squad with Jean Grey and Cyclops, which you can get at a lot of points levels, that means turn 1, because she starts with 2 power, she can telekinetic force. And with 1 move, she can hit someone on a middle objective with that telekinetic force 9 dice attack. It's just crazy. It's such a powerful attack. And I've in the 5 or 6 games I've played with Jean Grey, I've never had an issue, particularly with Cyclops, getting that attack off in any turn that I've needed to. So it just makes such a difference that you have this character that now can do that reliable punching
Right.
that you're relying on Doom Prophecy or you've got to get done.
Mm.
So
And then
I notice here this roster. So we didn't read it out, but it's Jean Grey, Domino, Cyclops, Cable, Beast, Toad, Storm, Shuri, Mystique, and Magneto.
Neato. Yeah.
mm,
Interesting.
so you'll notice Wolverine's not in there,
Yep.
and the reason I didn't swap Shuri for Magneto, so I have Wolverine instead of Shuri,
Sure.
is because you can't go 5 wide at 15 without a 3-pointer, and without cubes, and
Mhm.
Wolverine is sort of the tank that does the punching. It's like, oh, Magneto is just better at punching, but it hurts my heart. I probably will end up dropping Shuri to put Wolverine, but Shuri's so good because of the control. She really adds the control that X-Men lack.
Yeah.
But if I get enough practice with Jean Grey, then it may be that I don't need Shuri for that control, and I can chuck Wolverine back in. And that's really
So
what my heart's telling me to do.
so a 5 wide at 15 is are you going Cyclops or Storm?
Probably Storm. I think
Storm.
that's the only
Okay.
way I can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I have to go Storm
Gotta go
to
Storm.
do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, I could do Cyclops and then replace one of the 3s with Toad. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely could. Yeah. Um,
Well,
oh.
I was because you said 5 wide, and I thought you had a predetermined 5 that you had in mind, but
Yeah, so
obviously you've got a little bit of flex here.
maybe I can drop Shuri and put Wolverine back in and make my heart happy. Um, but the thing
Yep.
that's nuts about this roster,
Mhm.
right,
You
is
have Magneto, Cable, and Jean Grey, and that's a lot of
well,
points.
think about this. Think about this at 18.
Yeah.
Jean Grey, Cable. Oh no, 19. Sorry. Jean Grey, Cable, Magneto, Storm. Now,
Mm.
now think about this. So Black Order at 19 is whatever, is Thanos with the gems, Corvus, and Proxima. And what you want to do is so if you set up on let's say it's demons and you're on the back E, everyone's on the back E. You have Jean Grey there, and they come forward, and they want to, let's say it's Storm. You put Storm ahead, and they want to suck someone forward. Jean Grey says, "Nah, you can't cosmic portal them." So that turns that turn 1 off. But they have to get to the middle of the table to do that. So Jean Grey turns that off because that's active from turn 1. She's got 2 power. And then what you can do is you can put someone within range 2 of Magneto. Let's say it's Storm, because you're trying to draw that play out.
Sure.
Then Magneto places off Storm and is within range 3 of the center of the table, and he can start punching whoever he wants. And Jean Grey hasn't gone. She can then range 4 Mystic twice into that person. Oh, and then if Magneto's sitting out and Corvus is attacking him, but he's
Mhm.
within range 3 of Cable, you can 2 power to give him 6 defense dice against Corvus's attack, and then you can use 2 power on Cable to give him 8 defense dice against Corvus's
Yep.
attack. It's just it's only 4 wide, but I think it has some real attrition tech, right? Because you can
Absolutely.
kind of use Magneto as the bait, who
Yep.
becomes really hardy, and then you've got a range 4 damage machine in Jean Grey and a range 5 damage dealer support piece in Cable.
Right.
And I think I've only played it once, and it was into 6 wide Guardians, but Jean Grey and Magneto just wipe the table by turn 3.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and the other thing is too, to me, this seems like how can I say this? Like it's a, I think it's a little bit of a slower play style, right? You're kind of playing off of them. It feels like, so how can I say this? So you're setting these pieces up so they can do certain things. Like for example, you want Thanos to come up and try to do a move, but okay, I negated it with Jean Grey. I took one thing away from you. Okay, now you put a character in range. Now this character can go do something, and you have what I'm looking for here. I can't think of it, but I see what you're going with that. That's really really interesting.
You're kind of you got counterplay to
Yes.
some of their tech, and again, and I view them as the best attrition affiliation, right? Black Order.
Right, correct.
And so what that means is if I'm confident going into them attrition versus attrition, then that means any other squad, if you want to pivot to attrition, you can do it, and you can do it really well. And I mean, with 18, what you have the potential of doing with hammers is you can go Jean or Cable,
Okay.
Cyclops, Storm, and Magneto, right? So one of the 5s, and then the 4, the 3, and Magneto. Or it could be Wolverine, but I think it works better with Cyclops. And what you have the opportunity of doing is grabbing one hammer on one side of the table. You can do that with Cable. Cable doesn't need Storm's placement to do that. He can body slide, move forward, first class, grab a hammer, and get relatively safe. And then you can have one of the leaders in the middle of the table, advanced R&D, 2 power from Magneto. So you can move Cyclops up, pull Cable towards him, have Storm next to Magneto. Then with that move her within range 2 of Magneto, which then again allows him to place within range of attacking whoever grabs their wide hammer. And then you're going 4 wide. You've got these big hitters. You potentially got 3 hammers turn 1, potentially 2 on Cable, 1 on Magneto, and you've dazed one of their characters, because that's the only way that you get the hammer off them. So
right, correct.
So again, you're going 4 wide, which is kind of a bit lower than you'd like, but you're getting the extract advantage and the attrition advantage in that setup. So when you're taking all the X-Men characters like this, you have so many different options for build. You can go 3 wide, you can go 5 wide, you can go. There's so many different ways that you can kind of skin the points levels to look at your opponent and say, are they going the attrition advantage? Do I want to get up on extracts? Do I want to fight them? There's so many different levels that you can go to with the different points and the different abilities of all these characters. I think the addition of Jean Grey has given them such flexibility now in not only playstyle but squad building.
There you go. Yeah, man.
I think they kind of needed that. To be fair. So I didn't want to interrupt your flow there, but we noticed Scarlet Witch is gone, Magneto's in here, and Jean's in here. Did Scarlet Witch see play in? I just not to backtrack to previous iterations, but did Scarlet Witch see play, or was she cut because you kind of had other tech you wanted to explore, or she just didn't fit the profile? Like, what was the reason to take her out? Because she's very prevalent in the meta right now. It's kind of a
So Scarlet Witch definitely saw play when I thought a mystic damage dealer was the way to go. She definitely did. But the difference is now you have Jean Grey, who has that mystic builder and is the same threat level. So there's no reason to have Scarlet Witch over Jean Grey, in my opinion, because she's done in the games that I've played with her, she's done the same, if not more, damage than Scarlet Witch, and she's in affiliation. So if this was a different affiliation that didn't have Jean Grey, then Scarlet Witch probably to play that role is better. Jean's, in theory, less good at the damage, although that hasn't been my experience, but she's in affiliation. So there's no reason to have Scarlet Witch over Jean Grey.
I wouldn't necessarily say she's less good at the damage. I think I think Witch does a very specific thing with consistency to damage, in that she's got failures count towards successes, and probability wise she's going to get more output. I don't think it necessarily means like Jean's not capable of that. She definitely is.
Yeah, and the trade-off is that Jean's much better at control.
Yep,
whereas Scarlet Witch just doesn't have control.
Yep.
And that's the thing I think that for what she lacks in potential damage output is what the team needs anyway.
Mm. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree
Because
too.
when we saw these cards spoiled, what first episode was Jean, right?
Yeah, first episode was Jean. Yeah.
And we went through the card and we discussed it. It was just we discussed that there was a potential for Jean to upset a little bit of the Enchantress, pull you to your death meta.
Yeah, and that's what I really like about her. And I really like that with Cyclops' leadership, she can pay 2 power and then hit potentially one-shot Enchantress. Really, that 9 dice physical into 2 plus the throw,
Yeah.
like you just like see you Enchantress.
See,
Thanks for coming.
exactly.
Well,
right.
that was the other thing. Well, we didn't get into that, but we definitely talked about the she's coming out at a very opportune time to counter a very prevalent thing in the meta.
Mm.
Which is that was my thought process. The minute she got announced, I was like, okay, what's strong right now?
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay,
Yep.
Wakanda, Black Order. They're the two best at Web Warriors. I would put Web Warriors up there too. That are really good at the control game too.
Yeah.
And it's like it was for me. It was a breath of fresh air. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, I have a way to do something with this now. If I want, I can. Well, granted, I'm a Defenders player, right? If I wanted to, I'm going to try to find a way to fit Jean Grey. Now that you're giving me all these ideas in my head right now, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I need to have her here, right? So
I really like Jean Grace a lot.
Yeah.
She's in my opinion the best X-Man, and I think she's savagely underrated by a lot of people.
for
every game
sure. Yes.
every game I've used her,
If the
she's
internet
done
is
like that.
underrating her, then that's on them. I thought she
well,
was.
there's well, I think who's been has it been Sploosh? I don't know. But somebody out there.
Sploosh does not like her at all.
He does
He's
not like her
really
at all,
down.
and I don't know why. And I'm like looking at this, I'm like, dude, this is what you've been wanting. Trust me, this is the character you've been looking for in the X-Men, for sure, 100%.
I think she. We made our list of characters in order in the X-Men. I think Jean comes in at number 1 now.
100%.
Oh yeah.
And the only other thing that I really want from X-Men, like they've mentioned Colossus for X-Force and X-Men. Well, they haven't officially said X-Men, but there's no way he's not in X-Men.
Correct.
If he has a bodyguard or a Luke Cage ability, I think that like, see you later. There's just no way.
Absolutely. And honestly, for me,
I have a sneaking suspicion he actually won't have a bodyguard. Truthfully.
Well, he may not. But even if he's just a defensive tank that is very hard to move,
Right.
like Vision style, right? Even if he
Right.
just can sit on a set of point and not get thrown off it by attacks, and then you have Jean Grey to then stop him moving from superpowers,
Right.
then that's almost enough. But a bodyguard will just turn, some form of bodyguard will just turn this roster up to 11.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only reason I say I don't think he's gonna have one is it's either him or Juggernaut. I have a sneaking suspicion him or Juggernaut is going to have more of a blanket protect passive or something you can pay for. Not like Cable and Strange, but more like everyone within range 3 of them. Like your opponents roll 1 less dice.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Something like that would be awesome.
I mean, I'd be fine with them going with a bodyguard, but I think between those 2 big mutants, there's a chance to develop and do a little bit different tech. I mean, I'm fine if they want to give Colossus bodyguard. I think the thing that Colossus is going to have that's going to surprise people is he's probably going to have a 2 damage stop minimum of 1 or a 1 damage stop minimum 0.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll. I mean, we're all speculating here.
Osmium skin is a thing.
Yeah, I think he'll have a damage reduction, and I think he'll have high physical defense. Certainly.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, like you were saying it. So for me, when I was a Defenders player, I was waiting for Luke Cage to come out because I needed somebody with a bodyguard. Now, granted, I can play a Okoye. Yeah. But Luke Cage gives me the affiliation, and he has it, right? Granted, he does it differently than Okoye, but it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, okay, yes, I can play this character now. I'm like, okay, I don't,
And the other thing that he potentially adds for X-Force and X-Men is a gamma launch for Wolverine.
Yeah.
So and that again opens up for X-Force opens up a heap of extra.
Suspicion that's actually going to be an attack.
Yeah, it could be. That would be amazing.
Fastball special historically has always been an attack.
But even then, throwing Wolverine to do an attack,
It's
I'll
awesome.
take that.
I'll take that
Yeah.
any day of the week. It gets him in the game faster. It puts him right there. Now you have to deal with him. He needs something like that for sure.
Yeah, definitely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of the crux of my X-Men rosters. Really, point number one is how do I get the most out of these characters? Point number two is, how do I get the most out of those swing turns when my characters are really powered up?
Right.
And then the evolution of that is now with the more build options with Jean Grey and that a little bit more control and stuff. It's like, okay, now they can actually be this really good generalist all-comers faction that has an answer for most situations. They may not necessarily be the best at any. They're not going to be the best attrition squad. They're not going to be the best control squad, and they're not going to be the best spam squad. But what you can do is you can say what's your opponent really good at? What do I want to do to counter that? And then they can, they're a 7 out of 10 in sort of all factors of the game. I'm finding now, and then you can add your spice to taste. You can put Shuri in for more control. You can put Magneto in for more attrition. You can put other characters in to really change that up for you. But I think they're in a good spot, and they're only going to get better.
Absolutely, and you put them there, man. I gotta say, you put them on the map. I mean, not everybody was down on the X-Men even before Jean Grey and all that released. And granted, deservedly so. Deservedly so. I understood what people's gripes were with them, but again, it's a game where you just said it. You can add your own spice. You can do whatever you want. You can bring in other characters to make this viable, to do whatever you need to do. And it's refreshing to see that you went that extra mile, right? Like you threw in the Doom Prophecy, all you've got tech, right? It was like, oh man, no one's gonna see this coming. And it's like boom, and it worked, right? And it was effective. You know what I mean? Because you put in that time, that effort. You said, you know what, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna best term, I hate to curse, but basically turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
Yeah.
Right? And you made a top 16 with this.
Yeah.
And I have to respect that, man, because I would have to say that X-Men in everybody's mindset right before this league started, they had to be towards lower, like mid to lower bottom, right?
Well,
like right?
Well, go ahead. I was gonna say I think the crux of the way Nick handled this, I think, is fairly applicable, especially if you're kind of new to the game and you're not doing the TTS leagues. I think you can do most of the stuff that he did, or kind of dissect this into how you want to build lists. It's really, really important to kind of ignore the net stuff and like really understand what stuff you like to do with your squad. Step one, Nick wanted to play X-Men. Great. Step one, he picked X-Men. Okay. Step two, he played them enough to kind of understand what he wanted to do with them to control game state. Not necessarily, you don't necessarily need to old faction, like, I mean, we were talking about Wakanda has been a big threat. You don't need to play Wakanda to necessarily have good tech for controlling the pace of the game. I mean, we just talked about it for a good half hour here, where he's got turn one, like, to me, my X-Men double pickups on objectives, and I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. I think that's any faction in this game. If you really love something, give it. I mean, admittedly, I haven't given I've just been testing out factions just to be like, well, let's see what they do. I have not gone in and done the amount of work to get this down to a lack of a better term, down to a science of being competitive. And I think any faction in the game right now, if you love it, put the time into it, and that's sort of what we see here. And it's funny because I picked up that Star Wars Legion, and I've actually put the time into figuring out what I'm doing in that game, and I sort of just been picking up dice with Marvel and going, okay, well, that's a thing. And so it's sort of like, I can definitely see where I've started to slack a bit.
No, for sure.
Especially with the description of how he's how he's planning out, those first couple turns for tactics cards. I mean, here's one for you, Anthony. Back when I played X-wing, I would actually do the first 2 turns of movement over and over and over again to practice my TIE Fighter squadron movement and keep that formation as tight as possible. And I would just re-rack, do it again, re-rack,
Do it again. Right. Well, that repetition, practice, right?
repetition, and then by the time you play a tournament, it's second nature, and your opponent's like, "Holy hell, how are you?" And that's the funny thing; it's really intimidating in X-Men or X-wing, X-Men, yeah, X-wing. When the game first came out, your opponent looks across the table and sees a perfect, no collision Imperial TIE Fighter formation moving on the table, pre-practiced, and you're like, and you're doing it quickly, and they look at you and go, "What the hell is this?"
By the way,
Well,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I remember my first game, and I was playing. It was a mirror match into X-Men,
Yeah.
and this is the first game of this season. And my opponent was a newer player. He'd only just picked up the game,
Sure.
and he didn't have first class or to me my X-Men. I don't think in his roster. And he saw me move with Beast, grab a hammer, flip the Madman portal, and then get back safe. And he's like, "How did you just do that?" And it's like, well, it's just this is the combination that I think X-Men really work well with. Like people have dismissed sort of to me my X-Men in first class, but the ability to yo-yo with those cards is like, oh, so now I've got a hammer, I've flipped a point, and I'm back safe. I've just with the first activation of the game, I'm on right now 2 points out of out of 8 on the table, and now you have to come up with an answer for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
I wasn't doing that.
Oh,
admittedly.
I was. Well, the one thing, the difference. Okay, when they first came out, the only thing I wasn't doing was to me my X-Men. The only reason why I wasn't doing it was because I misunderstood the card. I thought it had to be okay. So the card is choose an X-Men with a character with an uncanny X-Men leadership. You can spend any number of power for each power spent. The allied character may advance small towards this character. I thought when reading the card, I thought it was the leader you chose. Nope. So exactly, but that was my misunderstanding of the card, and that's why I was like, oh, okay, whatever. This is just whatever. So what I used to do back in the day, and this was with hired muscle and all this stuff, it was top first class. I would get within one of the character, and then I would move up, steal a civilian right from your side of the board, come back and reposition the other one, and then get back safe with one move. That's what I was doing, but I wasn't. If I knew about to me my X-Men and did that properly, oh my god! I mean, it would have been worse because now that I'm thinking about it, hired muscle with this.
Yeah,
oh my
goodness!
That's
I used it. I've used it in before it was banned in a couple in-person tournaments, and like on spiders, you get like 4 spiders to 1. It's crazy.
Right, it's insane, and like, and the way you're doing it so efficiently too in the games that I watched, right? It's immediately. So okay, we're playing hammers. This is the plan. Boom, reposition Beast. Go get the hammer. Okay, cool. 2 member X back. Now I just made Beast safe. I got the hammer on the outside point. I'm back, and now my opponent has to make a decision, right? Do I let obviously the play is go get that other hammer, right? Because if I don't, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Or that opponent's gonna be like, oh my god, I'm so awestruck and I don't know what to do. And maybe he doesn't go for that hammer for whatever reason. And now Nick's like, oh, you didn't do it. Now I'm gonna go get that other hammer. Now I'm gonna control the game. Like,
I was gonna say, I think there's something to be said about like I didn't even think of that yo-yo tech, and I was playing both cards, and to be able to do it safely. I mean, I feel like a putz a little bit here.
Right, it's
but
funny.
Then it lets you set up a trap, right? Like,
absolutely.
So I'm taking the left hammer. If you go for the right hammer, I'm going to face me deception you in with Mystique, and the rest of my squad's going to punch you. And unless you get very lucky, I'm going to have 3 hammers and one of your characters dazed, and I'm probably going to still have priority.
Right.
So here's a question I've been dying to ask the entire podcast. Do we think for X-Men can do it really well, but is there another squad potentially that might be sleeping on this? I don't think the to me my X-Men's not something other squads can do, but the all you've got
Doom Prophecy.
Yeah, definitely Avengers for sure.
Avengers.
I think There's a lot of playing Guardians with that. So Sam
was-
Spam is the obvious one because of War
Yeah.
Machine,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like his beam, then his rocket pods are range 4, and you get to attack multiple. I think
Well, I mean,
what
a
you
lot
want
of people are going that route already, but I was kind of wondering about like maybe Daredevil or some of the affiliations like Defenders has, like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil now,
I
and
I
Hawkeye.
think it is really good with those, but I think from my read of Defenders is you want to tone into their tankiness. So I'm
Right.
more inclined to heal Defenders than I am to burn and punch.
No,
Because
that's
I
Correct.
think
fair.
Correct.
yeah, well, and it doesn't mean that I'm right or anyone else is wrong or whatever.
No,
But
no.
that's my
No,
read of Defenders.
that's the way I
Is
play them. I mean, if
Yeah.
well, we haven't played Nick, right? But I mean, Aaron's played me, the local scene's played me here. I mean, that's exactly the way I play them. Like I
Well,
play.
that's sort of what they do.
That's sort of what they do. No, it's sort of what they do. But I mean, I play tanky as possible. I try to pump as much defense dice as possible.
And that's
and-
exactly why
yeah.
earlier in the podcast you were like, after a
Mhm.
certain point you gave up playing Doom Prophecy in favor of Medpack and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but that's sort of you
That's
do
what I
the
want to.
attrition
Right.
play
That's
style.
right. Exactly. That's what I want to do. I want to wear you down. Basically, I want to wear you down to the point. It's like, okay, you're out of options now, and it's like, okay, now it's my turn, and it's like,
Mm.
okay, that's exactly how I play the Defenders, and
Yep.
with
No
Portal,
offense.
and Portal helps me out too now. I've been playing a lot with Portal lately.
There's definitely a character you've been sleeping on, I think, for your play style that needs to go in your roster.
Oh, you can tell me if you
Mm.
want.
Black Dwarf.
No, I had Black Dwarf, but the thing is, okay, we didn't. I did that 5 months, like before the year ended. I played a game against Jason, and what I decided to do this time was I decided to do Black Dwarf instead of Okoye, and Black Dwarf was doing the whole bodyguard thing, and then from there, pumping defense dice with Doctor Strange and all that stuff.
I think it's more efficient now that Luke Cage is out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Luke
I
Cage
think-
does it better. I mean, he's cheaper too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's.
and he's in
But I mean, for the
affiliation.
longest time, I
His
wasn't
affiliation.
seeing Black Dwarf
I
in
get it.
your
No,
lists,
I
but-
'cause it's because I did it once and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it worked. Actually, it worked. But
That's neither. Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering though if there's like.
oh, Nick, you need to jump off for a few minutes, or
Oh no, in a couple minutes. I've just got to get to an
No.
appointment.
I was gonna
real
say
quick.
we were we were winding down here, but I think there was like one maybe A Force sleeping on.
I think Crystal's great with Doom Prophecy. All you've got.
Okay.
I think there's lots and lots of characters. I mean I haven't even thought of all the combos. I'm sure there's heaps
plenty
more out there
Absolutely.
that can make use. What I like about it is it more so than for big hitters is it makes your 2 and 3 threats hit like 5 and 6 threats. And I think if you can get that in any game, that's that upseller value is what you really want to get out. What I think you get really good value out of with Doom Prophecy and all you've
I
got.
have a sneaking suspicion Midnight Suns is gonna have good use for that too, but
Yeah.
their mobility is not gonna come from something like, to me, my Xmen. They'll have to find ways of being able to. Well, actually, they can't pick up stuff for free either. Jeez. That is.
Well, again, we don't know the tactics cards, right? All we know is what the leadership does and what Blade can do. But anyway, honestly, Nick, if you gotta jump off, I think we'll just call it here, man. Thank you, man. You're the first guest on our podcast. I wanted to get you
I
on.
feel so special.
No, you are, man, dude. You're the first guy. I mean, I saw when I heard about this dude, Fast Nick, Xmen, killing it. I'm like, whoa. I was like, let me watch this guy play, right?
I was gonna say, if you actually listen to 2 or 3 podcasts ago when we went through the top 16 and Anthony said there was an X-Men player in the top 16, I cracked a joke. I'm like, I want to talk to him.
Yeah. I was like, we got to talk to him.
If you actually go back and listen to the other podcasts, you are sort of preordained to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was like, no,
Appreciate it.
I'm getting
Thanks
him
a lot.
on, dude. No problem, man. No, thank you, man. Thank you for the roster knowledge here. I mean, I think this is awesome. And if there's any X-Men players out there, listen to this. This is This is good stuff here.
I don't even
This
think
is
it's
awesome.
necessarily just X-Men, but I definitely think there's
Well, the game roster building. Yeah.
the roster building and the assessment of what you want to be doing is really good general knowledge for stepping up your game with any faction, not
Absolutely.
just X-Men.
Not just X-Men, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
so-
agree. I would agree. Just pick the characters that you like,
Yeah.
and there's going to be a tactics card and a combination that lets them do what you want them to do. I really think that they've gotten most of the characters really good and really close to their appropriate power levels. You just got to work out what the combo is that lets them do the job you want them to do.
I will buy you, Nick. I will send you like PayPal money straight up for a box of your choosing if you can unlock Green Goblin for Anthony to not
No,
suck.
there's no doubt. There's no hope.
You know, it's funny because they're the next on my list.
Are they?
Spider Bros.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah, next
with
on my
the new
list.
releases, I think that there is something there. But
Oh.
Why don't you just send me a box because it'll get to me before me being able to order it here in Australia.
Right.
I could do that.
You can probably do that, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say
um,
PM me what you want. I'll buy it on Tuesday.
Yeah, so I'll work out what the combo is for Green Goblin, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Anything, Nick, you want to plug? Twitter, whatever.
Whoa, I don't really have much. If you always give me a message on Discord or that sort of thing if you're around. But I don't really have any socials that are
Alright.
game focused or at all. But yeah, just find me in the Discords. I'm there.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say if you're one of our listeners that's not aware, we're actually on the TTS Discord. If you look up Warhawk X or Anthony89, is it?
Chewy 89.
Chewy89. Sorry, my bad. You can actually DM us from there. We're not shy. My phone has Discord. I'll see the notification if you want to pick my brain on anything or Anthony. Fast Nick, it was awesome having you on. I actually would love to sit down and just do like a Doctor House, like you pick my brain, I pick your brain on tactics cards and rosters. This went better than I thought it would because he actually showed us every iteration.
Did I not say?
And the reasoning for it is like, God, man, I wish I had a partner to sit down and do that before tournaments with. But
yeah, anytime. You just give me a buzz.
I'll send you a care package for it. So.
Nice.
The only thing I'm gonna plug before I think we sign off, if you are a Marvel fan and you have not done it yet, by God, go play Future Revolution. If you like Marvel stuff, it is amazing. I've been playing it the entire time we've been on the podcast. While we were talking about Storm, I was actually playing Storm. I'm not even kidding.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, and it plays itself, which is really great. So, you need a VPN to play it. NordVPN's doing their summer thing. I think I got 2 years for $3.11 a month. So
Awesome.
Definitely worth checking out if you are a Marvel fan. There are 8 characters right now. They are going to be adding another 16 by the time global launches. I mean, we're a Marvel podcast before anything else. So
is that the what's it called? The XCOM game?
No, this one's actually the third-person action MMO.
Oh.
Yeah, I just hit level 100 with Doctor Strange. He can actually heal allies' guard gauges. He can give them attack power. He can summon the Eye of Agamotto. His animations are beautiful. His ultimate lifts everything up in an AoE and slams it into the ground. He has the 7 rings of Regador. He's got everything you would expect him to have and alternate versions of it. Every character has about 8 abilities with 4 alternate versions of them, so every character has upwards of like 40 things they can do.
Right. That's awesome.
That's spicy.
So yes, it's definitely worth checking out. Global release is coming up, but right now it is only on the Google Store and APK Pure for Canada. So you do need a Canadian IP to connect to it right now, which is why I'm playing it on a VPN. But it's super plays itself. You just hit auto. It can then you can tell your character where to go down the map. It'll farm itself. You can level up that way. It's one touch. It'll play. And then when you really want to do bosses and do some of the fun stuff, then you can actively play it like it's a normal game. that you would have bought on a console. The variety here is, I cannot stress enough how, like, I put 10 hours a day into this thing since it launched 22 days ago. It's just
Oh,
playing in the
wow.
background.
That's insane. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, I'm on Twitter, Chewy891, on YouTube, Chewy89, Discord, Chewy89_Anthony.
So we do have some exciting stuff coming up. I forgot to
do.
plug. I was plugging somebody else's shit. I'm actually in the process of writing what the hell were we calling that? My brain. I'm sick. My brain's not working. I was in the process of writing draft rules at work today. And so I should
Oh,
have
okay.
those finished within a week or two.
That's right.
And we will be, for the community, I know we have like maybe 10 people that listen to this. I will be posting them for free for everyone to try out. I would like your feedback. I will try and get it up in the Discord. I would hopefully like to get it on the Facebook group as well. I think this game has great potential to do a draft style thing, kind of like a fantasy football league, but fantasy MCP league. So, if you're interested in testing that, or you're really excited to try it out, give us maybe 2 weeks, and we will have those rules ready to post and throw out into the community.
Awesome. Sounds
All
great.
All right, so I guess that'll be it. Aaron, send us off.
I'm Aaron. He's Anthony.
I'm Anthony.
And we've
Yeah.
had Fast Nick. I have a feeling this is not the first time or last time you will be. Well, it's the first. Never mind. I'm sick. Whatever. Ignore me. I have a feeling this is not the last time you will be on the podcast. It was actually very insightful to have you here, and having a third person just to round out the discussion was really cool. So I'm hoping we can do this again. But this has been an Omega Level Threat. Thank you for joining us for the extended edition with Fast Nick.
Absolutely.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, man,
Yeah, no
thank you,
problem.
man. You have a good one, man. Take care, guys.
You too.